grief and getting past the grief process and really seeing possibilities, because new parents have a child with a disability, like you said, Luann, it was like, you know, I had no idea, and most people don't. Our introduction to someone who has a disability is generally just that. And connect with people you can count on, and persistence pays off. I think in the role of persistence and advocating for something you really believe in, that you know your child will really benefit from, don't give up on it. You know, bring other people in and really focus on what you can see happen for your child, and if you can't get through one door, find another door, because there's usually always another option. Okay, so one of the things I think that parents aren't often ready for is the barriers that are actually barriers are put up quite instantly, I think, when you have a child with a disability. You know, what I've heard a lot of is school districts and the individual education plan. And the experiences that parents have talked to me about is they go into an IEP, they're not ready for what the IEP is going to present to them, especially the initial first IEP, and then they are just told to sign and walk away. And one of the unfortunate things about an IEP is deficit based, and I think that that again, as a parent, you know your child the best, and to go into an IEP and say, this is what my child needs, this is what my child is going to be most successful in, is going to work out a lot better. And you know, the cookie cutter plan, there is, you know, kind of a typical cookie cutter IEP, almost you know, a cut and paste of a plan, and you don't really want to see that. And I think about individual advocacy and inclusion, and the individual education plan, and how our teachers often look at a class as a group, and how good and exciting it would be for them to really look at each individual. We all learn differently. We all are more successful in different environments with different technology, with different things. I think that that the individual piece that I in IEP should stand out, and think outside the box before you go to an IEP, and do your research and know what you want to ask for, because the school district is, all school districts by law are required to provide a free and appropriate education for your child. And if that means that they're going to work best with an iPad, then they need to figure out how to get that for your child. So, and I think, you know, the accommodations are endless, and I think that they're not often brought up. And I know you can share some on that for sure, in regards to, you know,
always the box that it's very easy for that to remain empty. Mm-hmm. If the parent doesn't let the teachers know what sort of accommodations are going to help their child the most.
Right. And I say always, always, always go to an IEP with another person. Because I think that going to an IEP alone in itself is pretty stressful. When you're reading a plan that really focuses on the deficits of your child and how they're going to be fixed. Bringing people with you who may be able to talk even after. I mean, just the presence of someone else makes a lot of a difference in the approach from the school. I think the schools oftentimes just expect that you don't know better. So parents want you to know better. Okay, so some more barriers, social barriers. You know, we have the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Those are being amended pretty often. They're not, you know, and I say often, I think the Individuals with Disability Education Act, there was just this last year a change in the federal law with technology and the internet and accessibility, that you know, if they're using computers in an educational environment, and this falls under federal law, then it really needs to be 100% accessible. And the idea behind that is if somebody's going to, you know, say in college, a college course, and they can't, you know, the information that's being offered is on the internet, and they don't have, that the information isn't accessible, then they're really not getting the free and appropriate education, or the education that is that they need to have equal ability to get on and view any of the information just as anybody else. So, and college probably isn't the best, because college you pay for, but in regards to you know, high school, junior high, and so on and so forth, those things need to be addressed. So community involvement, inclusion. I think that there is, and I was talking to my mom about this, and my brother is an extrovert and very, very, very social, and he has a gift of loving and to be around people. Well, you know, I think there's still this social barrier that, you know, people with disabilities really aren't engaging in with others who don't have disabilities in the community. You know, and I think that my mother and I were talking, and she said, you know, I said I was so embarrassed for so long because my brother would just go up to a stranger and talk to them, and doesn't have a lot of he doesn't have the social bubble, if you will. He'll get right into someone's face and ask them how they're doing and what they're doing. And this feeling of just like, you know, I could kind of feel my face get red, and probably in my, up through my mid-20s, I said I was so embarrassed. And every time you told him to be quiet, he'd just get louder. So my mother said I was very embarrassed too. And, you know, because it's kind of like making a scene, and you know, and finally, my mother and I decided that it wasn't our job to tell him he needed to be quiet. If the people that he was talking to didn't like it, they could tell him, because it was really, you know, as family members, a sister, mother, all we got was, shut up, you know, shut up, Tim, shut up, Mom, you know. And so, so now it really is him being in his community. He's free in his community. He lives in Anchorage and doesn't drive. He doesn't read or write. He has an IQ of 55, and he lives a very full life. He works. He walks to where he needs to go. He is very known in the area of town. In the DeBar and or not DeBar, what is it? Kind of Patterson area. So he's walking through there all the time. Everybody at Value Village knows him. Everyone at Cars, and so he's kind of got this community taking care of him. And kind of a funny story to share. My husband and I were in Anchorage, and he was walking his bike, and we saw him. I'm like, "There's Tommy. Let's stop, make sure he's okay." And so my husband was like, "Hey, partner, how you doing?" And I asked him, "Is your bike broken?" And there was this woman that was walking on the sidewalk, and she said, "Tommy, are those people giving you a hard time?" And it was just so funny because, like, and we were both like, we're family, you know, but the community really has taken him under his wing. So the idea of people with disabilities, you know, being free in the community is really, really strong. I have another story where I was talking to my art instructor, and I, you know, there's this great place in Juneau. I think it's called The Canvas, but I'm not sure. And it's this completely inclusive art studio where, and it works as completely inclusive. And I think, and he had been doing some you know, just connecting. He went there to kind of check it out, analyze it, get the data on it, and what really makes an art studio like this work and what doesn't, you know. And so I think that those kind of opportunities and really seeing inclusion, true inclusion, is really awesome.